Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And I cannot wait to introduce you to one of your beautiful expansion artists within Soul Journey today. And I'm going to be introducing the incredible Adelina M Vaughn. She is a spiritual mentor, a trauma healer, and a plant medicine integration guide. She is an enigma. There is a few words. I know that that's a title I can give you, but to truly encapsulate what it is that she does and the space that she opens and allows you to step into and facilitates you in really taking your own journey of where it is that you are guided to go with this session with her is so unique, and it is something that I think most of us would really struggle to put into words, but I'm going to try my best because Adelina is just this incredible soul sister that I've had the honor of getting to know over the last few years. I've worked with her myself, and that is how I knew from those sessions and from that time together that I had to invite her into this container and to ask her to be one of our expansion artists, because what she does is so deep, it is so transformative, and she creates this space of healing and of going into areas that you may not even be aware of because they are so deeply unconscious and so much to do with your lineage, so much to do with your ancestors, so much to do with parts of your life that came forth even before you were here in this particular human vessel that you are right now. And when going into something that deep, it is so important to have someone who has the experience, who also has the love and the capacity to hold whatever it is that comes up. And for myself, I know in the session when we did the breath work, which is exactly the type of session that you'll be having with Adelina here, it was beyond words what came up and how that shifted me. I'd had experience with breath work and sound healing for many years before that, and like many of us, it was a very intense initiation into the Wim Hof style of breath work, which for those who have ever tried it, it's very masculine, it's very intense, it requires a lot of the person, and it, especially for someone like myself who was already deeply in my masculine energy and really struggled to let go and to release and to step into my feminine and to step into the gentle, natural, creative, powerful energy of the feminine. Adelina knew very well that getting me into that kind of breath work was not going to help shift anything. And the session that I had with her and the techniques that she's used and the energy, that the portal that she created, I went deeper in a breathwork session than I ever have. There was things that came up, things that I saw, things that I felt that I've never even touched close to in any other breathwork session. And the magical thing about it was at no point did I feel like I was working, which is something that during like Wim Hof's types of sessions, which I absolutely love, and I'm so grateful for having that introduction. But I always felt like I had to be engaged. I had to really be on. I had to be focused on it, which my masculine loved because it loves doing things. But it was therefore stopping me from really tapping in deeper. And this session that I had with Adelina just blew my mind with how naturally and how easily I was lulled into this space and into this cocoon of energy and of flow and of connection, and the source energy and the source love that I felt connected to was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. And I knew from that moment on, and then when Soul Journey came through me and this container was birthed, I just knew I had to invite her into this space and have her be one of your expansion artists, because I truly believe that this is a portal that so many of us really, really need, especially in this day and age when we can be so disconnected from our bodies, and we are being encouraged more and more by society to get disconnected from our bodies and from our sovereign selves. And to have this gift and to have this power and to be shown a way to actually access this is so unique and such a pivotal part of Soul Journey, and why this is so crucial. So I want to, obviously start with thanking you so much for agreeing to be part of this container. I really am so honoured because I hold you in such high regard and such high esteem, and I know the magic that you bring to the world. So thank you so much. And I'd love to invite you to speak a little bit now about, about what it is that you do, about your journey, and of course about, what our clients can kind of expect coming into a session with you, just to get into your energy and into your vibe. And thank you.
Thank you so, so much, sister. It truly is an honor to be in this space and to co-create in this way. I, my journey has been a deep one in so many different ways, and so I think that the spaces that are held, through this vessel, through this portal, really are reflective of like what I've personally traversed and what I can sense and what I can feel. And also, I'm here as like a conduit for spirit to work through. And I think the beauty of this session is that although everyone will come in and receive breath work and sound healing and singing and mantra and healing and cleansing, all of that, every journey will be completely different than the other person's journey as well, because I really like to tune in to whatever is needed in the moment, and then co-create with the universe in that space. And so in terms of like background and just a little bit, I come from a deep shamanic background, having, apprenticed under several teachers, my most recent teachers being of the indigenous Shipibo lineage and plant medicine. So I work a lot with ayahuasca, and this plant, this grandmother, this mother plant, I think I know actually has really cultivated such a depth in my being and in my body, and has really brought me home to the power of the body, of the wisdom, of the womb wisdom, and of the heart wisdom, and of the voice wisdom, or the throat wisdom, and really being in communion with the elements and the potency of that and the importance of that, with breath being the most powerful ally that we have. So the plants have showcased the importance of the way in which we work with the breath. And then I've also, of course, trained in several different breathwork modalities. So that is why I feel like, depending on the person, depending on the intent or the intention, depending on the level of embodiment in the nervous system, the breath work will sort of be attuned to that. Not only the style of breath work, but also the length of time of breath work, because not everyone is able to be in a breath work space for an hour if their nervous system is overwhelmed. And sometimes it's a little bit less, or sometimes it's a little bit more. So I really focus on nervous system regulation, and like you shared, a lot of breath works nowadays are focused out of the body into these super cathartic experiences, which are often overstimulating an already overstimulated body, mind, and nervous system, and they're activating more of the sympathetic nervous system rather than the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. So these spaces that I hold are really so attuned to the somatic education around nervous system regulation, so that we can heal. And so that those of you who will be receiving this session, you'll be coming into this session to unwind, to unravel, to come back home to your wisdom. And a lot of times we're so wound up that we can't hear or see clearly. We can't hear our own wisdom, and we can't maybe see the path clearly because we're overstimulated and our nervous systems are too wound up. So my intention of this breathwork space and this healing portal, I really see it as a sacred ceremony where, music is played and songs are sung and healing happens, and sometimes purging happens and cleansing happens and clearing happens. And there's also an opportunity for a deepening in like the inner wisdom and a reconnection to the elements that are already within the physical body, mental body, spiritual body, and emotional body. So this focus, I think, really gifts an opportunity for this unwinding and this unraveling, and more in this feminine feminine mother-based energy. And I offer this and I bring this into the space mostly because it's how I've healed the deepest. So I create the spaces and I hold these containers in relation to what has held me and what has helped me the most. Yeah. So I'll pause there and see if there's anything
Yeah,
different.
no, absolutely. That's such, I love the way that you word that, because it is it is beyond words what you do in terms of the experience for the individual, knowing that personally and knowing that from the feedback as well from clients who have already gone through soul journey with you. They're kind of in the same position I am, where they come back to me and I'm like, so how was the session? And they just kind of go, um, like, I don't know how to put into words what happened. I don't know how to put into words how connected I feel to myself right now, that there's just this awareness and this feeling inside of me that I'm different, and I don't know how, I don't know why, I can't consciously, my mind can't catch up to what's happened to my body basically. And I love the way that you explained the like the process, because this is something that I've come to really realize, especially since Soul Journey was birthed a couple of years ago. It's like it's been leading us all on this journey ourselves of really discovering what is it really about, and how does it want to develop. And now with 2.0 launching and everything, and part of it was really this understanding of the power of rituals, the power of initiation, that this is something that's so deeply lacking in our society these days, is that, once we're out of childhood and we, have some graduation ceremonies and everything, then aside from maybe if you get married, or maybe if you, have a child or something like that, there isn't really these moments of initiation, of change, of rituals that we use to really, choose a different way forward, to mark a moment in our lives where we say, from here on out, I'm stepping into a deeper version of myself. And this is something that I'm going to make tangible. I'm going to actually create a space and a ritual around this. And this is kind of what it feels like to have this session with you. It feels like an initiation. It feels like a ritual that we do go through, and every single person's session is different. So every single person's initiation is different. I know for myself, it felt like it was the start of really the journey into my feminine. I was changed in many ways straight away, but it was something that it developed. Like, I didn't even realize that after this session, it would continue to work itself through me. It wasn't something that was just done and I had one session and then, off we move. I haven't shared this with you before, but I remember when I first met you and when we first had our, like, in person, you, along with quite a few others that I'd been watching, but I was drawn to work with you. I felt so triggered by the way that you moved. I felt so triggered with the way that in our sessions you would move your body and you would, like, just move your hands, and I could just feel the embodiment and that sacred, feminine, beautiful energy. And I'm like, I don't know how you do this. Like, this is my move. These are my move, like the way I move. And it was so confronting. And it's really funny now, because I've noticed this now over the last few months, especially, and this is, a couple of years on now, that I've started to do this myself. I've started to come into my body more. I've started to really, when I'm talking about certain things, I will move my body. I will move into that feminine flow. I will allow the creativity to just release, rather than just wanting to hold it and wanting to, like, click my fingers and all that kind of thing. So it's really, really incredible the way that this magic, this medicine that you work with, it, once you go through this session, it continues to work through you. And you might not understand it on a conscious level. You might not be able to really make sense of it. And our mind can never catch up to even, a quarter or even 1% of what our bodies actually hold in terms of memories and in terms of knowledge and wisdom. So it can't even try. But the fact that it just keeps evolving, and it does feel like a ritual. It feels like an initiation that you go through, where parts of you that were long forgotten get reawakened and you get reintroduced back to yourself, which is the greatest gift, I think.
Mm, thank you for sharing that. And also, you said something really powerful. Actually, so many words you said were so powerful. But it's this embodiment piece. And I think that the medicine of the breath and the medicine of the body, the medicine of the body and the wisdom that lives within the body, the breath can like really bring presence and awareness to parts of us that have been sleeping, or maybe there's stored trauma, or maybe there's conditioning and behaviors or imprints that are stored in the body that are ready to be released, but it just has been needing a safe space to be held. And a lot of times disassociation and times when we're really like being out of our bodies and we're going in a life that's really really fast paced, and maybe we don't have the space. A lot of times that's just because we don't feel safe yet in our bodies. And I think that the breath work and ceremony work and being held in a space where your nervous systems can say, ah, I can relax for a moment. I can feel safe in this moment. And when we can do that, that is when the healing really can happen. And that is when the unwinding and the unraveling happens. And the way that you spoke about it, how the event, the session itself awakens things, right? Parts of the body start to wake up. Maybe memories come back. Maybe there's healing that happens for alongside prayers that you've had for years and years and years. But it's the reference points that I like to call them. When we breathe into new spaces, when we feel safe in places we haven't before, when we speak about things maybe we have never spoken about, or maybe when we voice something that we've never voiced just yet, something happens in that field where there's like your body feels that full permission, and then your being, your essence, your higher soul feels like that new reference point of like a yes, a possibility of a yes, and an awakening and an opening. And in that new reference point, everything gets to grow. It's like you just planted a flower in a new garden, and now that you get to tend to this brand new garden that you didn't know about before. And so I think that that's where somatic work is so powerful. And sometimes we can look for like these really big, cathartic, like expansive, out of the body experiences. And yes, those are powerful. And yes, those are most likely to happen on the spiritual journey. And let us not forget about the power of the subtle and the power of the small, micro initiations and movements within the being, within our body, that cultivates new sensitivity, that cultivates new awareness, that cultivates new reference points for how we get to live our lives moving forward. And I think that the body actually moves quite slowly, and this session is just an activation or an initiation, but really the unraveling that happens and the way that you choose to be in the embodiment moving forward, and the actions that you get to take from that space that's interwoven with your intent or your intention. This is where like deep healing happens in a long-term way, where change happens in a long-term way, where it's not just it kind of happens. It actually starts to weave a new tapestry for your life. And there's so much magic in that. And that's really what I look forward to gifting in this space, is this coming back to the power and the potency of ceremony, of breath, of embodiment, of the subtle energies, and the slowness, like the beauty and the slowness of life as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today. And of course, yeah, thank you so much for saying yes to the invitation to come into Soul Journey, because like I said, it was always a divine download. I truly feel like I am, I don't know, it's caretaker, it's mum that gave birth to it, but it isn't of me. It is of a completely its own entity, and it made it very clear when it came through, what is its intention, who is meant to be invited into this space, and how is this meant to play out, because it does feel like, from the clients that have gone through this already, as they've gone through, you know, step by step, or not even step by step, but just letting it flow through, it truly felt to them like it was just created for them. There was this beautiful, I guess, layout of exactly working with me, working with all of you expansion artists and their own journey and how it was unfolding. It just felt like it was personally curated for them. And that's because of, you know, the caliber of people that have come through that, you know, these sessions, they are very unique. They aren't something that, I know for yourself as well, it's not something that you normally offer anymore at all in any spaces where it's just like this one-off session with you. And the fact that you did agree, you know, and did feel called to offer this in this container is such an honor, because it is, yeah, it's just, it's a very, very unique energy that you hold. So thank you so, so, so much. I cannot wait to, yeah, see who comes through next, and their journey, and to be a part of it. So thank you so much for your space, your energy, for your love. I am so deeply grateful and so deeply honored for our connection always. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sister.